Hey everyone, Norm from Testa here, and I'm in Apple Park. So today's first day of WWDC. It's the opening keynote. I'm here, of course, hoping to check out some Vision Pro updates. Brought a new camera, so I thought I'd take you around and let you see what it's like to go to WWDC as a member of the press. Hey Adam.
Hey Norm.
So I just got back from WWDC.
How was it?
It was fun. Always fun to go to Apple Park and to see some other tech journalists and sit through the keynote and listen to developers, listen to their responses and their reactions, right?
Oh, so you're getting both at the same time.
Yeah,
you're getting the official line and then the immediate reaction.
Yeah.
You're witnessing that.
It's great to chat with developers, always.
Yeah.
And of course, they announced what I'm interested in, you're interested in, the newness that's going to come with visionOS 26 now, right?
Yep.
They're now all in the same naming scheme.
Yeah, well, I get what they're doing. I'm not sure I agree with it, but that's fine. I don't have to. 24
updates in 1 year. We have installed on both my Vision Pro and your Vision Pro the developer beta of visionOS 26, which we should let people know is not typically meant for public consumption.
This is the first time I'm downloading a developer beta, and it's not for public consumption.
Yes.
It can easily, there's going to be stuff that works and doesn't work.
Exactly, and there won't be a public beta out for this, actually, so it'll be the full release in the fall. We're not evaluating it or reviewing it today, but we wanted to get through what is available and talk about, what some of the newness.
Well, and and there's some improvements that are fairly significant.
I think the big one is the personas.
Dude, you sent me your persona.
Yeah, I did a briefing. They let me take a screen grab. I texted it to you, and
it blew my mind. Like I thought, and just for the level set, when we first did the personas and we did FaceTime almost over a year ago. I still thought, I thought at the time, that's the best remote co-working environment I've ever seen. And the new persona makes it, it's not even twice as good. It's more than that. The detail is incredible.
Right. The face textures look better. It looks like it's more resolved. Less like the less of a glow that's trying to hide things that aren't there.
Yeah.
Those things are there now.
No, they're there, including the crapiness of my old face skin. I mean, it's all apparent in my persona.
Eyelashes.
Yeah.
You get to see the side of your face now. What was impressive to me was it took the same amount to scan to create it. So I'm not like holding the Vision Pro in front of me to scan for more. It's the same process. It's just the new models they've developed in the 2 years since, can now run on the same hardware, something that looks so much better.
And I also want to give a thing about the persona, because back then, if you, as a civilian who's never put one of these on, looked at a persona, you'd be like, that doesn't look great. And what I want to say to you is, even back then with the old primitive persona, when Norm and I were in that environment, I'm making eye contact with you, and very quickly, the uncanny valley of your face disappears because most of our communication is looking in the eyes or talking about what we're talking about. But the new persona is like galloping out of the uncanny valley.
Right. I'm not trying to avert my eyes from it.
No, and before this, you and Jeremy and I were messing around having a FaceTime call, and it was shocking watching you two look at each other and all the eye lines matching.
Yeah.
There's this thing that happened when the Vision Pro first came out, which was that Meta's pass-through got better a week later. And all that was to me was Apple made decisions about what was important to them. Meta was like, oh, those are different decisions than we made. Let's try some of those. Well, now the decisions to make these personas so much better just feels like it's a crazy increase in fidelity.
And it says to me that, even though the personas are also what they use for the eyesight, for that face thing, and that's maybe not one of my favorite parts of the headset, they're not giving up on the idea of remote FaceTime and remote collaboration being an important part of this platform. Speaking of collaboration, a new thing they also announced is what I call co-location. It's the ability for people in the same physical space to wear headsets and not have to use the personas, but be able to share content, 3D models,
So
presentations.
if we had a meeting where
Yeah.
we were talking about a movie prop and we had only a digital version of that
Yep.
prop, you and I in the same office could put on headsets and be dealing with that. And we did that. You loaded up a Neil Armstrong spacesuit.
Yeah.
And
But we were doing with the personas because we were using the
Right,
spatial
right.
sharing. I don't think it's unlocked here what they call shared experiences.
Yeah.
But the idea is that it would just recognize us as contacts or have a code that we would type in.
Yeah.
And
It wasn't working for us in this beta.
not in this beta.
Yeah.
But because it's constantly mapping the room, it knows that the geometry I have and the geometry you have would be aligned, and then the virtual object that we're both looking at is going to be relative to us in the same place. And that's, I think, an important part. I mean, certainly important for enterprise users.
Yep,
Right.
yep,
You imagine like the classic car designer, right? Who's going to want to look at their 3D model.
Well,
see
I
how-
mean, as someone who has dealt for decades with clients, everybody has a different ability to visualize stuff in their heads.
Yeah.
And as a professional internally head visualizer, that's my job title. It's very easy for me and hard. So this is lovely in a way of like getting everyone to the same level.
Yeah. And my understanding is that not only could it be people in the same room wearing headsets
But you could
together,
bring in
you can
remote-
also bring in a persona, and then you have all these ways of people with Vision Pros interacting and collaborating.
I've attempted to sell Vision Pros as a co-working solution to at least 2 filmmaker friends of mine who
makes
regularly
so much
deal in
sense.
different countries.
Right?
And I'm like,
Yes.
dude, the lack of latency in the FaceTime on the Vision Pro is better than talking on the phone.
Right,
it's
right.
less latency. This is like 100 milliseconds. This feels like 20.
With
30.
gestures,
Yeah.
with expressions. Yeah, yeah. And then another feature that we tried out, widgets.
Dude.
Okay. So
widgets are great.
when visionOS came out, and you talk about loving the app that lets you like spatialize the world, turn it into the matrix, right?
Yeah,
and see the
that's the one that
geometry.
ports the LiDAR data. Lets
Exactly.
me see what LiDAR sees.
Yeah. And I talked last time about, the headset knows and has some semantic understanding of like what's a floor, what it thinks is a floor, what it thinks is a ceiling, a wall, a table, but not many applications surface that to the content. Widgets is now a part of the OS, a way that actually taps into that. So not only can you pin whatever window, your Safari browser or your Apple TV window, to any wall, turn that into a locked, big, flat surface, you can now have these widgets that embed in your world.
And they stay there.
They stay present. There's a little lock button on the bottom.
That's-
and so between even restarting the headset, it'll be there.
That is huge to me. It wasn't even like I needed necessarily that execution before they allowed it. But I did note that like you could do a whole custom screen setup like you do for editing, and then have to rebuild it every time you're restarting your thing. That's tiring.
So you can lock windows in space now, lock it against a surface. You could place a widget on the table with a shadow, and it kind of slides around if you
And
want
the
it
embed
there.
in, the embed
Oh,
past
not on the table.
Oh, on the table.
Not on the table,
The
but
shadow on
yes.
the table was remarkable,
Yeah.
but the embedding in the vertical
Yeah.
surface was really neat.
And like, because the clock is otherwise in like the control center or floating in your hand, I kind of want like a physical clock.
Yeah.
Like, and you can of course adjust it, you can inset it. What was coolest to me is that it does occlusion also. So, I put a movie poster, like an album art, right? Like on a wall, and I can tap it to play. But because it knows or has a sense of what's the geometry is in here, if I move past, some furniture, it will actually block that virtual object.
And if you go into the other room, you're not looking
You're
at
not
the
looking-
backside of that
exactly,
screen
exactly.
4 rooms away.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
And that's how I think it does some memory management as well. So you can like load up, 10 widgets.
Yeah.
And if you walk in a different room and have another window open, like those widgets, if you're not looking at them, they won't be running and using up the compute and the memory. Yeah.
I often use mine in lower light situations. I just don't like a lot of bright light. And also I try not to use the face shield for the most part, and that, can interrupt. What I noticed with the new betas also, and I don't know that they've even talked about it, but pass-through feels a lot crisper to me under the low light conditions I often use it under.
I think your hands show up better, like an outline under low light. And they have what they call breakthrough, real objects passing through for your phone, game controllers now also. Oh, speaking of which, so I brought these in. So this is not implemented in the developer beta, and I didn't get to demo it, but it's important to note that when visionOS 26 comes out, we will get actually track controllers, something I've been asking
really
for
have been wanting
forever.
that.
So these are the PSVR 2 Sense controllers. Right now, you can only buy them with PSVR 2.
Yeah, so I noticed.
But Sony, I would hope, will sell these separately and allow it to be tracked by the Vision Pro. And that means anyone who's made a game for Quest, right, for PC VR, they're going to be incentivized to port it over to run natively on the high-resolution displays here. Maybe not Beat Saber, but plenty of other games where track controllers matter a lot. I would love to see them not only like with thumbsticks and full hand motion, but also stylus as well.
Oh God, yes, I want a stylus.
Yes. So Logitech makes this. This is the MX Ink. It works with the Quest 3, but they announced at WWDC, Logitech has a version of this called the Muse that will work with Vision Pro. So it's drawing in space, passive haptics drawing on the table, tracked with IR lights, I believe, in the back here.
Yeah.
Again, not available in the developer beta today, but they did announce it, and it will be out in visionOS 26.
I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, track control. These competitive advantages that other headsets have had, they're finally making their way over.
Well, it's finally giving it a tool set that makes it feel like a productivity tool for visual and physical creation, which I think is one of its killer apps.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of have, over the past year, figured out who they can sell this to.
Right.
The price didn't go down, right?
No.
But like the designers, people in businesses, basically, right? The enterprise customers. A lot of these tools, a lot of these features feel like they are really catering to those new users, while making existing users pretty happy with new things like spatial scenes and better depth map versions of your photos.
I'm dying to try that. I haven't tried that yet.
You love panoramas.
I love panoramas.
You can put a panorama behind a windowed widget, so you can look and peer into your panorama.
So right? You know me, I'm panorama nut job, so I have panoramas going back 25 years.
Yeah.
That's great.
So those features, among others, you can finally answer phone calls on that. You can make it. You can answer phone calls.
It's made me so crazy before.
Yeah. So when visionOS 26 comes out, we'll be trying out controllers.
Can't wait.
But we've been having fun with the developer beta, and like this personas, that's top of the list.
Truly amazing.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about our headsets
Oh
here?
yeah, let's give an update, because I know last time we had a great conversation about like comfort, right? It's not any lighter, it's not any cheaper, but we've been toying around, experimenting with new straps. What's the one you're using now?
Okay, so this is called Hover. This was actually sent to me by a fan who had seen one of the rigs I'd used and wrote and said, you should try mine. So I am. I'll describe its function is that it sits at the top of your forehead and comes back around here. So there's very little clamping my head with this on, okay? And I really like that.
You're still using the nice solo strap, so you're getting that.
Yeah, I'm getting that nice cradle. I find that it creeps just a little bit.
Okay.
And so getting back to the exact same position every time is a little tricky. But here's why I really like this. There you go. Okay, here's why I really like this is, if I'm using this in the house, I feel too isolated from my partner. And I shudder to think of the difficulty for her in interrupting me, right? So I like not having the face shield while I'm using this in general use, not for watching movies and stuff, but in general, so that I'm still part of my house. And the pass-through color fidelity between reality and this is really good enough that I forget that this is a digital representation of reality. So that's why I go with this. I mostly like this. I find it creeps a little bit and tends to will touch my nose and I'll have to do a little repositioning of it. So that's not quite ideal.
I also like that it's the soft strap in the back, so it probably collapses better for less storage space.
It collapses
for
nice
travel.
and tight. It's also great for lying up against a pillow, which a lot of the headset solutions aren't really great at. So this is my favorite so far, and I still have a couple of issues with that it moves a little bit.
I'm using this one, the ResMed one. It's a company that makes CPAP straps, and they have one that's sold by Apple at the Apple Store.
My APAP was made by ResMed.
Yeah, and this one actually, interestingly, first of all, the points of contact are 3 straps basically.
Right.
Front, back of head, and I like the cradle. This is where I loosen up the tighten.
Yeah, that's the.
And it also has counterweights.
That's what these are, counterweights.
Look,
oh.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah.
And you notice a difference when using them.
I'm using 4 of them here,
and it takes
totally. It takes the weight off of like right on the nose.
Yeah, that's-
yeah.
I-
So it's one of those things
gotta
where
get one
I
of
know,
these.
and it comes off super easily. So you should try this as well. So it just pops
Oh,
off.
nice.
It does. It's, you know,
the whole thing
the whole
does that.
thing,
Oh my
yeah.
God, that's great. They're unavailable in the Apple Store right now, but you'll let me know when they come up again.
they sell out pretty quickly. So I'm refreshing the store a lot. We're on the forums. We're in the community.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for geeking out with me a little bit
Oh my
about
God.
the stuff that we saw at WWDC this year.
Also, can we give just one little last shout out that I watched the Weeknd's music video
Oh, yes,
and
yes.
thought, this is what we all should be doing with VR. Like, they really leveraged. How do I say this? I loved the scale it was shot at, the level of close-ups. Like, fuck, you spend half this video like staring at the Weeknd's face from right here, and it's weirdly and amazingly compelling.
The way they directed the production design of like he's in the ambulance, so of course that close up, him laying down makes sense for him singing. But then once they push you out into the open space, and it's a little bit of a spoiler, but there was like almost an inception moment of of a rendered cityscape. That was mind-blowing.
Also, I don't know if people know this story, that at the very beginning of cinema, like around the turn of the 20th century, I think it was the Lumiere brothers, played a film of a train coming towards the camera, and people in the theater were like screaming and rushing out because of the convincingness of the illusion. I'll say during the Weeknd's music video, there's a point at which an ambulance drives right towards you, and I physically jumped. I just felt like I was in a space. And I also love the playing around with, is he dying, is he not? The way that death was represented, I thought was very compelling and beautiful. Connecting that. Anyway, just all in all, an amazing aesthetic execution of what's possible with this.
Maybe just for us. Just for us, us weirdos with the Vision Pros.
Thank you, Weeknd. Thank you, The Weeknd.
Yeah. To wrap things up, before we go, I'm going to throw to one last segment. Last night, speaking of spatial content, there's a annual talk show podcast that's recorded live on stage outside WWDC by John Gruber. He's a noted Apple columnist and blogger, but he does a live stage show, and they streamed it live via this theater app in stereo 3D. So I got to check it out and go behind the scenes and take a look at their infrastructure and how they think about bringing a stage show, a stage conversation in 3D stereo to viewers. So
that sounds really cool.
All right, thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
We'll be back next time. There's another big visionOS update.
Bye, guys.
Okay, so I'm backstage here at California Theater in San Jose with Adam Lissagor. Adam, you guys just ran a live stream.
We did.
In stereo VR to your app theater.
Yes.
For Apple Vision Pro users.
That's right. Second year in a row that we did this. The first year, last year, was what launched the app theater. It was a crazy idea. We knew that we were building basically an immersive environment that's a theater, so you could watch video, you could watch YouTube and your own library of content in your Vision Pro. But we thought, what a spectacular way to launch it by live streaming, capturing and live streaming and stereoscopic this show that every year all these Apple fans enjoy.
Yeah.
And so I pitched it to John Gruber, and he said, I don't know that you're going to pull it off, but let's try. And we did. And so we had a whole year of learning, and we have continued to develop the app and brought all this content, really cool stereoscopic and large screen, giant screen, and film content and music and stuff to theater. And after a year of learning, we came back and did it all again, but probably a little bit better.
And walk me through exactly how this works, because this is the camera using. The idea is to get viewers watching in headset at home, whether live stream or on demand later on.
That's right.
The idea that they get like a front row seat. So camera placement. First of all, tell me about this camera system and how it's being piped out.
So this year we used these two Z-Cam bodies, E2 S6, I believe. Thanks, Jose. And they're shooting they have a 6K sensor. 35 millimeter.
It's like a Super 35 sensor?
Super 35 sensor, thank you. And two 20 millimeter prime lenses.
Nice.
And we were trying to approximate the focal length of human vision as closely as possible. and the rig sits. It's on this calibration platform, basically the stage where we can dial it in, get it as close as possible. It sits on the lip of the stage, around 13, 14 feet from the subjects, which is a good comfortable distance to approximate if you're sitting in the front row and you're looking sort of at an up angle at the people on stage. It's kind of like being there. And honestly, I watch the show live in the Vision Pro as it's happening, and I can go down to the front row and see that it's basically the same experience. And let's see, so this streams out.
And it's 2 cameras, so you're getting
cameras.
2 SDI, 2 video feeds that go into
They go into
Mixer?
they go into OBS.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they go into these. We have these
The capture cards or capture devices.
cards, AverMedias that can handle 4K.
Got it.
And 2 of them, and then they go into left and right canvas in OBS.
Oh, that's our compositor.
Yeah, compositor, and we do all of our additional calibration there to make sure that the stereoscopic is as well aligned as possible. And then we pipe all of that out to our partners, our streaming partners, a company called Spatial Gen, who was with us again last year. We approached them. Andy, our developer, co-founder of theater, he's the one who found Spatial Gen because we were looking for somebody who would be bold enough to try to do this. And they said, yeah, we'll do it. And they did it. And so all this material goes up to them. They process it. They combine the stereo left-right image into a streaming MVHEVC feed, and then it goes out to our app. But basically, it's in a stream. It's in a stream. It comes down to our app where our users can access it inside of the theater environment. This year we did something with optionality. We basically made a free stream available that was just the 2D version, right? So that anybody could watch the show if they wanted to, and then the upcharge was for the 3D version of it that makes it a little bit more immersive.
You say a little bit more, but it really, I think it's significantly more immersive.
Well,
I think
yeah,
stereo
stereoscopic.
adds a lot of the feeling of being there. Especially last year, I actually watched it at home in stereo, and it was, like you said, feeling that front row seat. That's why I was so curious about your process here.
Yeah, that's right. And the way I think about it is there are these levels of immersion, and when you combine them all together, they create a super immersive experience. One is that it's left-right stereo, right? So that's more immersive than mono. Second is that you're hearing the audience around you at the same time in audio that feels spatial in the environment.
You have microphones over the crowd
exactly.
being
We're micing
mixed
the
by,
audience. Because the audience is part of the show. It's the communal experience,
Yeah.
right? That's what makes it feel like, even if you're sitting by yourself in a theater environment, if you hear the audience around you, you feel a little bit more community. You feel like you're there enjoying it with others. And then there's the fact that you look around and you see the virtual environment, right? That makes it more immersive. And then really the real timeness of it, that it's happening in real time, that it's live streaming. And you know that the same show that you're watching right now is the same one that people are watching all over the world, that this audience is watching in San Jose. That makes it a level of immersion that, again, is like adding so much value, additional value to the experience than just streaming it later on YouTube.
Right. And you're doing it on top of a production that has to service a live audience here, right? And so you're working alongside that production. Does doing this give you ideas and experience to want to put into theater, live stream, other types of stage events or live
most
events?
definitely.
And
So
what are
even
the things you're thinking of?
Yeah, just this month, when we go back to LA, where we're based, we're capturing a Q&A at a repertory theater that's screening a movie. On its 10-year anniversary, the director and cast, Jason Schwartzman, Adam Scott, and the producer directors are going to be there. And so we're capturing an immersive Q&A there in the theater. And we're going to stream, that's not for stream, that's for on demand. But we're actually going to distribute or exhibit this film in theater as well. And we're going to do a director's commentary along with that. so that the director can be sitting next to you in the audience.
Oh, that's cool.
That's quite an immersive experience that I've never felt before, right? And then later on this month, we're going to be doing, if you know Riff Tracks.
Absolutely.
So we're going to be doing the Riff Tracks show in Nashville. That's they're doing Time Cop in front of an audience.
Yeah.
So we're going to capture that for theater too, and we're just trying to prove this as many times as we can, that if we can deliver to the Vision Pro wearing audience these experiences that feel to them like they're actually there, that it's not just a stream, it's not just a flat 2D image, it's not just video on demand, that it's something that's actually a little bit more valuable, that it's worth their time. It's worth picking up the Vision Pro for once a week and putting it on for an hour or two, that it proves the value of this extremely expensive device that they've decided to invest in. And that's why we're doing this.
And doing it in a way that you can only experience
Yeah.
in a headset like this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And as the technology begins to mature, the access becomes more affordable, more and more people have it, then all of these concepts that we're proving now will start to be introduced to more and more people, and then it'll start to click, right? It's little by little.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to check out more of the recordings, more of the exhibitions. It was really cool embedding backstage and watching you and your team in headset, monitoring and doing this whole live stream. It's really thrilling.
I hope you got plenty of footage of the team, because they're the ones who worked the hardest. So to Jose and Andy and Zach and Caleb, who's around somewhere doing audio. There he is.
We'll include links to where people can go check out, of course, theater and this presentation on demand as well. Adam, pleasure.
Really appreciate it, Norm. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for watching that video. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you we have some excellent merch. We have a 5-pack of demerit badges for sale right now at tested/store.com. We've got the I hung it off of level demerit badge, the I built the chair backwards demerit badge, the I hit my thumb with a hammer demerit badge. We've got the stapler in my finger demerit badge, and my favorite, I stuck the duct tape to itself demerit badge. Get yours now, tested/store.store. Tested-store. Tested. It's right here. There. Just click there.